Hello crazy fam, welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Tori and today we're going to do a 2020 time capsule video. Obviously it's going to be a little bit different than you normally think of a time capsule because I'm not going to bury all of us and dig us up in a few years, but it does remind me of memories my period brings up that I didn't even know I had anymore. Like you just thought of that now to cry about? Like you didn't remember that last week. But either way, with my stupid jokes aside, I do want to do things in a little bit of opposite order. So like, what's the opposite of chronological order? But either way, whatever word that is, I want to work from the future to the past. I want to talk about where I see the world going in the future, where I see myself personally, where I see maybe you and your family and friends, where things kind of are right now, and where things were in the beginning of this all, from the world to me to things going on with you. And I think it's just a good video to do because I know if I don't do it or if other people don't do it, we're kind of gonna not have enough things to personally look back on for ourselves that really set this time period in perspective. And so that is why I'm doing it, for myself and for all the people that watch my videos, just give you something to look back on later and something to think about right now. So I'm filming this video unscripted and I'm sorry if there's a lot of cuts and in between. I'm just trying to really speak from my heart and not really script it out or plan it out. So keep that in mind when I talk, is that not everything I say is gonna be exactly fully thought out. So I think the time period right after COVID-19 is as big of an issue. Like a lot of the restrictions are being lifted, like they're starting to right now. But you know, most of the restrictions are lifted. We're able to go outside again. Maybe still have to wear a mask, but things are a lot less restrictive. And I see that period of time being very similar to a New Year's resolution. I see it being very different than the time period before and very different than the time period to come. Because there's still gonna be those positives that have come from COVID-19, which I will definitely go into because there are positives that have come from this. And I see those being really strong and really just a lot of momentum in them. And I do see them, you know, falling off like a New Year's resolution. And I also see the negatives are gonna be very, very present. They're gonna be very real. The struggle is gonna be there. You're gonna see it. But again, it's gonna fall off. And I think it's gonna get more of an even realm on both ends going forward. But I kind of in some ways look forward to that, you know, right after COVID-19. I say right after, but obviously there's still gonna be people that are gonna get it. There's still gonna be people recovering from it. We might still have to wear face masks. When I say after, I just mean after a lot of the restrictions are gone. It's just the best way of saying it. And I know there is a lot of information out there that is so negative, and this video is not to talk about the negativities of COVID-19. Obviously it will be mentioned, but that is not the premise of the video. If you want that, read almost every single news article, besides the articles that tell us we're gonna get $5 million every week as a recovery plan, or all our student loans are gonna be gone. Besides that, all the negativity, we'll leave that for the news. And the reason why I see that time period being kind of like that is because it's gonna be a very hard reality on what the world is like. We're gonna notice, you know, just like at the beginning of the year, you're gonna notice that weight you never lost, or that job you never got, or that thing you never did last year. And it's gonna be the same thing now. You're gonna notice the things you didn't do before COVID-19. You're gonna notice the things you couldn't do during COVID-19. Like how many of us wanna do so many things? Like our bucket list just got so much longer, yet so much simpler. And I think a lot of us are gonna try to work on them in the beginning. We're gonna try to go on that hike. We're gonna try to see those friends and family that we didn't make time for before COVID-19 when these restrictions weren't in place and the economy was in a way better place. So it's like we didn't do it before then, but all of a sudden afterwards, we're gonna try to do it. We're gonna try to do it. We're gonna try to lose all that quarantine weight. And it's not gonna last, but it's gonna be nice in the time period. I like certain aspects of COVID-19 that has brought up. There's been so much community that has come out of COVID-19. Yes, there's so much separation at the same time, but so much community, and that's what I wanna focus on. There's been so much more people out there trying to feed the hungry. There's been so much people out there trying to work on social causes. So many other things, like there's been bans in other countries on genital mutilation. Like how is that not banned before, but it has been banned now? It's like there's so many great things in the news that maybe have been covered up by COVID-19, but hopefully they can keep happening after a lot of those restrictions are lifted. And there's a lot of a need to go do things, to go on hikes, to go to the beach, to do all these things where I know for a fact you had a week where you sat home and did basically nothing And now that you don't have the option to do that or not do that, all you want to do is go out and do things. And so I hope that when the restrictions are lifted, people actually start doing that more, focusing on things that are a priority for themselves and not getting lost in this rotation of work, sleep, and actually remember, oh, I want to go on a hike. Oh, I want to see my best friend. Oh, I want to talk to my family. Like me, myself, I've been calling my mom almost every single day during this quarantine. And obviously I won't be able to call my mom every single day after this, but I still want to make that more of a habit. Like after this is done, I want to have more calls than we were having before COVID-19 was happening. And yes, I won't be home all the time, but honestly, I will still have the time to make those calls, just not every single day. Like that is a habit that I am so glad I formed. Like we talk more, we have a better relationship. I don't know how to describe it, but either way, I want to keep doing that afterwards. And what are the habits that you have formed during COVID-19? Was it going for a walk every night because you couldn't go out and like party with your friends? Maybe keep up and have that walk every single night. Whatever it is for you, find the good aspects of COVID-19 and quarantine, the ones for you personally, and find a way to keep those up. Because if you put the work in, you can make those still a reality for the future. And I also see it as like, I'm not gonna not touch upon the bad things, like they have to be mentioned. Obviously, right when a lot of the restrictions are lifted, there's still gonna be a lot of people unemployed and a lot of people trying to apply for the jobs that are now available. It's gonna be a very big rush to the Indeed website or rush to Glassdoor, whichever one you like to use. There's gonna be a rush of people putting in applications, people putting up job postings. It's gonna be a lot happening at once while people are also trying to get out and do things that they couldn't do before. And so that time period is gonna be like a blender of everything going on. There's gonna be a just hyper hit to the market and people buying stuff and applying for jobs, getting jobs, going out and hiking, going to beaches, filling parks, filling museums, doing all these things all in this rush period of time. And that won't last forever. And that's good and bad. Like there's both sides of it. It'll just start to calm down and even out back to what it was like before. But let's hope we can keep some of those positives. Before I move on to how things are right now, I'm gonna do something a little bit silly that maybe you can do too. And that's to talk to Google, and I know that sounds probably weird and pointless, and no, this is not sponsored, but I wanna say this. Okay, Google, remind me in 1 year and 8 hours.
All right, on May 14th, 2021 at 10:01 a.m. What's the reminder?
You don't need a quarantine to focus on what's important to you. Don't forget how you felt during COVID-19.
All right, I'll remind you on May 14th, 2021 at 10:01 a.m.
Who knows, I may never get that message. It may be lost, but I like to think that a year from now, I will get that just a little bit of a reminder on what I have been feeling during COVID-19, what I want for the future, and I hope you can do the same thing for yourself. And as for right now, things are very uncertain. And that brings a lot of tension for a lot of people, a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, because a lot of things aren't known. We don't know where the economy is going to be after this. We don't really know where the economy is right now. Things are too up in the air. We don't even really know what we can and can't do. We don't even really know whether we're going to have a job after this. There's just so many uncertainty and also so many restrictions. A lot of states still are under quarantine. A lot of states still have very strict rules. At this point, I'm hearing about like other states opening up completely, other states starting to kind of open up, other people hating on people and hating on this state and hating on this state and saying this state's the problem or this state's the problem. We're all just trying to do the best we can, okay, folks? I live in LA and the quarantine is still in place. There's still a lot of restrictions, but we are starting to open up. Like there's certain things like stores are now allowed to do like curbside pickup. You can't go inside to shop, but you can pick things up at the curb, which you could not do before. They're like completely shut down before that. So yes, that is a great opening up start, yet other states are completely open. It's like a free-for-all, everybody do whatever the heck they want to do type of thing almost. And yes, there's a lot of hate on whether that should or shouldn't happen. Let's not get into that. We all have our different opinions on it, and I think every state is just trying to do the best they can. But it's very interesting to see how different states really are. Like I watch a YouTube channel called Charles and Alyssa Forever, and they were talking about how the bars had lines outside the door. Like that's such a weird concept to me right now. Like it was weird enough to see people, they had a car parked at the end of like this strip of restaurants in Venice, and it's right before the Venice boardwalk. And there was just a car there, car doors open, music blasting, and random people dancing in the parking lot. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. We are under quarantine. You're supposed to wear face masks. And all it was people dancing, no face masks, all really close to each other in a big group. And I was like, really? You gotta be kidding me. And that was a weird enough thing to see. Like, to see a line outside of a place that isn't Home Depot is such a weird concept to me. But I guess, is that bar that much different outside compared to the Home Depot that I waited in for like 20 minutes? Not really, but once you get inside, obviously things are a lot more separated. It's still weird. It's still a weird time. It's so weird. And I'm sorry, this video is so unscripted. It's not meant to be a very cohesive, perfect, scripted, amazing video. It's a lot of just me talking openly about how I feel about everything and what's going on. And that means a lot of blabbering, a lot of repeated information, a lot of who knows where I'm going with the conversation, but I hope you're enjoying it a little bit. And I hope someday I will watch this video and someday you'll look back and watch this video. Something that's kind of very interesting about how things are right now is brought this new wave of video chatting to come again. And I don't know if you're one of those kids that grew up with this, but I definitely grew up in, I don't know, middle school-ish time, or was it high school? Either way, in my younger days, even though I'm not that old and don't have the right to say that yet, there was a lot of video chatting. Like, you go on video chats with random strangers, and I think it was like Uvu or something. Either way, another person would pop up on the screen, you talk to each other, do whatever, and you could swipe them away and get a new person randomly, and you just keep doing that and have weird, silly video chats. I remember I had a foster kid in my house for a little bit growing up, and he showed me this weird video chatting thing with strangers, and it was such a weird concept, and it kind of faded away, and in general, video chatting faded away. Like, Skype used to be a big thing, and then it was gone. And all of a sudden during COVID-19, it hit. Like, a lot of people were doing it. It was a requirement from work to actually doing it for fun, and people going on dates on video chat. And I like it in a way because not every family lives in the same state. Not every family lives within driving distance or a flight or an easy flight. And there was things from baby showers to birthdays to anniversaries that had more people involved than they would have been before COVID-19. Because a lot of these things weren't happening electronically, and people didn't have a way of being a part of it if they weren't close enough. Like, let's say you're not within driving distance, or you don't have the money to fly or the time to fly out and be a part of this. Now you could be. Yes, it's not the same, and a lot of people probably wish they weren't having a video conference party, but it did allow people to be involved in ways they never could before, and just have those moments and be closer with the people that they want to be close with, because we didn't always make time for doing that in the past. And I love the idea that people are getting to be a part of things that they couldn't be a part of before. And come on, that is the positive side of everything that is going on. Is there's so much more community and family and friends, just so much more closeness in a certain way that we weren't before. And I haven't personally done any video chatting myself. I'm not really sure why. I guess it's just like I don't want to talk to that many people, and the people I do aren't very techie type people. And even with that said, I still want to do a video chat with my parents. Like, we've been talking about doing like a video chat board game type thing where we play a game but video chatting at the same time. We just haven't done it yet. And parents, if you're watching, because sometimes you watch my videos, which is so weird to think about, but either way, I appreciate you for watching, and we need a video chat. So let's get into, I guess, the past? Have I talked enough about the current time period? This is kind of like that blend between now and in the beginning of COVID-19, but I saw this article and it said, it's by Kimberly K, and it's the 30 good things that happened in April. I was looking for things that were positive about 2020, and this came up as one of the first options, and I liked some of the things that it said, so I want to read some of them to you. This has to do with what we were just talking about. It says, this woman accidentally turned herself into a potato during a Zoom call. And I believe this is the same one I heard about like on the news, and people were talking about it all over Instagram. And it's this person accidentally used one of those filters that turns you into something, and she couldn't figure out how to take it off, and it was a work call. And it got me dying, and everyone in the video chat was laughing, and it's one of those silly moments. And there's also been like news reporters that weren't wearing their pants because they thought they were in frame above their pants, but it snuck through and there was like a leg and some boxers showing. And then there was another person on the news just doing this random, I think like hair tutorial or something. And then in the reflection of the mirror, in the reflection of a mirror or something, there was her naked husband in the shower. But it seemed like the husband wouldn't be in the frame, but it was like a reflection that you were seeing, and it went on live TV and everyone was talking about it, and it was funny. Some people were saying that, you know, she's lucky. Some people were saying they didn't want to see it, and some people were saying speak for yourself. And so that is just, oh, good times. I know obviously it's super embarrassing for some of those people, but still, good times. It's a good laughing moment during all of this. And then, ooh, okay, let's see another one. This Australian family simulated, oops. This Australian family simulated their 15-hour flight they're planning on taking for a family vacation, but obviously they couldn't take it, so they simulated it at home, which is so funny. And, oh, this grandson organized a parade for his grandpa's 100th birthday. And I've definitely seen a lot more birthdays where it's like a very filled Zoom call, or it's people driving by in cars with signs and stuff like that. And some of this time, these families probably would not have done this much for this grandfather. Like, I know that's not the case for everybody, but it's definitely the case for some people where they actually got more out of this than they would have gotten beforehand. People in Australia started dressing up in crazy outfits to take out their trash barrels. That's kind of cool. It's like the people that are saying now where you go to the grocery store and you gotta like dress up all fancy because that's the only time you go out and do anything. And I see it kind of true, but kind of not, because you're also just trying to wear a face mask and get stuff done. But still, it's like your one moment of going outside and doing something. Oh. And there's a bunch more things on the list that talk about all these positives. They're kind of specific to people, not like general world topics, but there are a lot of things that relate to a lot of people. Just because it's a story about this one person's birthday or this one person's good deed, there's a lot of people having those good deeds, a lot of people having those positive moments. As for me, in addition to talking to my mom, another positive is that I've had a lot of free time in which I'm able to do things I am really passionate about. I have been able to do so many YouTube videos. I've done a video almost every other day during quarantine. I've learned a lot about editing. I've learned a lot about, you know, filming and planning for filming and, you know, SEO and all these different aspects of doing YouTube. And I promise you, it's not as simple as you think. Like, this gave me probably like an hour or more footage to put together this small clip. Either way, it's a lot more work than people think it is, and I am passionate about it. I love it though, and it doesn't feel like work to me. I am so blessed to have this time to be able to do this, and I hope someday I'll be able to do it more and maybe make it into a career very far in the future. Like, I don't expect that anytime soon. But if you at all want to support me, feel free to hit that like and subscribe button down below. Maybe put on the bell. I do a lot of videos on figuring out adulting and vlogs along the way, and random sit-down videos where we talk and get personal about things. But either way, it allowed me to do things I care about. And I hope that quarantine has also allowed you to focus and be able to do the things that you wouldn't normally have time for, and that someday you'll be able to make time for those things because you'll realize how passionate you are about them. And a lot of the reason why I'm able to have the free time that I do now to be able to do this is because of something that happened in the beginning of COVID-19, and that was actually having the highest salary I have ever had. I never felt more adulty than ever. I had a job that most people don't have at my age, and I deserved it. It wasn't like, oh, it was a promotion that I didn't deserve and I didn't work hard for and I didn't show the numbers for it. No, I did. I was killing it. I deserved every moment of it, and I worked hard for it. And it was great. It was amazing. I felt like life was coming together. And then all this madness happened, and I didn't per se lose my job because of COVID-19, but I did lose my job during that time period. But if you want more details on like why I lost that job It was not something I per se did or didn't do, but feel free to check out one of my other videos that I will put up here on the screen somewhere or down there. And it's a video talking about getting fired. But basically, I did lose my job in the beginning of COVID-19, and any other time you'd be hunting and looking for a job so quickly just to try to make up that income and to, just be not unemployed. But in a way, it was kind of the best time to lose my job, even though it sucked because it was a promotion that I was in love with. But it was kind of the best time, one, because unemployment is so much higher than it normally is. In most cases, you're getting an extra $600 a week on top of what you'd normally get on unemployment, which makes it close to or above certain people's income. For me, it was a little bit below, but it was close to. And also, it means a lot of jobs are not hiring, so you're not really going out there and interviewing or pushing to try to get a job. So you can wait out these time periods where there's not a lot of job opportunities. And in addition, you want to be staying home in quarantine and being safe if you are able to. So that means the beginning of quarantine created a very interesting situation for a lot of people. And for me, myself, it was a blessing in disguise because I will never get this situation again, and neither will you. And there are positive aspects of it that you will never see again. So see it as an opportunity. See it as a positive. See what you can do out of this situation, because you're not going to get a situation again like this probably in your lifetime. Maybe in your kid's lifetime or your grandkid's lifetime, but not your lifetime. But I'm not ignorant to the fact that a lot happened at once and it caused a lot of problems. In the beginning of COVID-19, it was crazy. You were hearing about things in other countries where it was a lot of uncertainties and it's them, not us type of situation. And then all of a sudden it started coming over to here. I don't know where you live personally, but for us, it was all of a sudden doors started closing. Companies weren't sure how long they were going to be closed. Were they going to pay their employees? How long could they even afford to pay their employees? Were they going to go bankrupt? When were they going to open again? And at first it was it's just going to be a short period of time. And then it got extended and extended and extended. And then on the opposite side of things, employees were I'll come to work, I need a paycheck, but they're not even letting me come to work. When am I gonna get paid? How am I gonna pay my bills? How am I gonna put food on the table? What's gonna happen? How long is it gonna be for? There's nothing I can even do. What do you do when there's nothing you can do? And it's just there were so many questions and no answers. And a lot of mixed signals from all the news people, and in general, just a lot of information that wasn't true and it was inaccurate and a lot of assumptions. And it was a very crazy time that will never be able to be fully explained to anyone that didn't live it. But maybe you can get a sense of it in this video. Maybe you can get a sense of it looking back at news articles if you're watching this someday in the future. And I'll probably do a follow-up video on this that is scripted, but today is just my first thoughts and opinions on it all. And I do want to say there was a lot of news that happened before COVID-19 that kind of got brushed under the rug or thought of as a whole nother year, because this time of COVID-19 has practically been its own year in itself. But I do want to talk about a few of those things because I want to look back and remember not just the COVID-19, but things that happened previously to it or during it. And one of the things is that Trump was president. You will definitely hear about that in the history books in the future. And he went up for impeachment, and Senate acquitted him for both articles of impeachment, and he basically got away with all the things he did. And there's definitely mixed opinions on that. But that is a huge part of 2020. And one of the other huge things that happened in 2020 is that Kobe and one of his daughters died in a helicopter crash, I believe in Hollywood. Either way, location is not the point. The point is that he was a huge figure in the basketball community, and beyond that, there's so many people that were inspired by him and motivated by him, and so many people helped by him. He had a huge charity. He made such a big difference, and his name and his message is gonna outlive him by many years. And even me personally, I don't watch basketball, and I knew about him and some of the difference that he made in the community. And Donald Trump being president and Kobe's death would be enough to make 2020 a historic year. And then we have COVID-19 on top of it, which has just made it a massive thing for the history books, if we even have history books in the future. Another thing I definitely want to mention about 2020 is that Harvey Weinstein, either way, he's a huge producer in Hollywood, was found guilty of third-degree rape and first-degree criminal sexual act. And it's such a big deal because he's worth so much money. He's so big in the industry, yet he was charged and found guilty. That is so big. Yes, he got away with another charge, I believe, that he had, but he was found guilty for other things, and it just shows that you could have all the money in the world, and that doesn't mean you will always get away with things that you do. And in the beginning of 2020, completely unrelated to that, is that Australia had these huge fires that killed billions of animals. I think it's billions, not millions, right? I'm pretty sure it was billions of animals. And it started before 2020, but it went into 2020, and they went into like another state of emergency, and so many animals died, so much land was burned, so many homes were burned, people were killed. It was a huge deal that would have made the end of 2019, the beginning of 2020 very, very, very historic, and probably would have been the biggest part of the news. And then COVID-19 happened, and it was like, sorry guys, I'm gonna top you all. And we kind of wish it didn't happen, but again, I saw so many positive aspects of this, for the beginning of it, the middle of it, and the end of it. How much can come from it, that'll be good. And this video was so much blabbering. It might be super long, it might be super short. I'll probably regret filming it and wish I scripted it, because I know I blab and repeat things, and I will probably do a part 2. I hope I will do a part 2 of this, so at least it'll be a little bit more cohesive and specific and informative and all these other words I can think of. But I hope you still enjoyed watching it, and I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like and subscribe button down below to join the crazy fam if you haven't already. And please figure out the good aspects of COVID-19 that you would have never had without it happening, and make them a reality for your future. Make sure you're going out on a hike, not just at the end of this, but in a year from now. Also, go out on a hike, video chat your grandma, like do all these things. And I will see you in one day. Yes, one day with a new video. Have a great rest of your morning, evening, night, whatever it is for you, crazy fam. I'll see you soon.